property values. It says probable. And I don't think that any of us are in a position to challenge whether it will or will not affect property values.
Joy.
I ditto Mr. Short. We can't prove it. And I don't want to take the chance.
Yes, Mr. Blanton.
I'll only take a partial chance being a decades-long realtor. I have a little bit of knowledge with regard to this area. I'm not going to go out on a limb, though, and state one way or the other whether or not it would. I don't think that that's an easy task to do when you're trying to forecast probable benefits or diminishments of property value. But what I would say is, I would refer to the record where we have heard testimony from A, concerned citizens, B, concerned realtors who have spoken on behalf of those citizens, and C, certified appraisers who specialize in finding these types of valuations who have spoken to this particular detriment. And I defer to their expertise.
Thank you. Further comments?
Peter?
Yes, Elizabeth.
I guess what I have a problem is that if we've got things weighing on both sides, we're making the assumption here that the balance is on the negative side here. And that's my big issue with this one and a few of the others, that we have testimony on both sides, and I don't see that one necessarily outweighs the other, yet we're making the decision that it does by putting it as a negative here.
Thank you. Further remarks? Yes, Mayor
Mr.
Pat.
Chairman, I guess my question would be to the subcommittee and related to the concern that Elizabeth stated regarding property values. Did you find anything in the literature or any assessor's records that may have shown that persons who live near turbines either had obtained abatements or had either requested abatements based on their property values related to a turbine?
Mr. Blanton.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to address Commissioner Flynn's question. We have actually heard testimony from some Falmouth residents who have come forward, some of whom are realtors who have spoken specifically to their concern that there are diminishments of value, they've had difficulty in trying to market their homes, and that they have spoken with the Falmouth assessor with regard to seeking abatements on property values. That's in our records.
So the answer is that abatements have been sought, but you don't know of any that have been granted by the Appellate Tax Board? Thank you.
Thank you. Joy.
I remember reading in all of the literature that we've been given that to mitigate the lowering of the value of property, money has been paid to people trying to sell their houses. So obviously, there's a problem. Can't say that it would be with this. It's a probable, not a definite. But in all of those papers, people have, from across the country, talked about mitigation when they have tried to sell their house.
Thank you. Mr. McCormick.
I don't think we've seen any evidence that it's going to have a positive effect on property taxes.
Thank you. All those in favor of removing probable diminishment of property values from the probable detriment side of the ledger, please raise your hand.
I'm here all by myself.
All those opposed to that, raise your hand. Abstentions, raise your hand. So moved. Are there more? Elizabeth.
Yeah, I had a question about the possibility of detracting from tourism. I think that in some places where these are set up, they increase tourism. So I guess I have a real problem with the detriment side of this because it seems to be so nebulous and iffy to me. We're not saying we know that this happens. We're saying, well, it might. And, I mean, you could put this on either side when you're talking about benefits or detriments, and I don't like to see stuff on either side that is really, I hate to use the term squishy, but it's just nebulous. It's not something that's really been proven, and I hate to see us going on record making a decision like this based on this type of thing when we can't just say it doesn't meet the RPP, or it doesn't do this, or it does do this.
Yes, at first, I would also remind the audience, please, not to interject your personal bias and opinion through laughing, clapping, or any other noises. Please have deference to these people with a very difficult task. Through counsel.
Just a reminder, the probable benefit, probable detriment test is just that. It's whether it's a probable benefit or a probable detriment, and that's what you need to consider.
Did you make a motion on that one?
No.
No motion. Any others that need to be addressed from the commission members?
I keep wanting to stick my nose in here.
Jump in.
Anyway, I just want to remind everyone here that this is not a scorecard. If we have 4 on one side and 2 on the other side, we have to give different weights to different benefits and detriments. Thank you.
He's correct in that once you conclude with determining what your probable benefits and your probable detriments list will be, your next task, once you're done that, is to weigh the probable benefits versus the probable detriments and make a determination whether the probable benefit outweighs the probable detriment. So I don't know if we're at that point.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Knight.
that is true. However, you can significantly say some of the probable benefits are actually, they're facts. The other is some of those is theories, so there is a weight on some of this. So I just want to make sure that's
You're
clear.
correct that you have to decide what weight you'll give to each item on each side to see where it balances. Yes.
Thank you.
Peter.
Elizabeth.
I just want to make one comment on the negative effect on wildlife, including birds and bats. I don't have an issue with that, except if this doesn't go in, we'll probably see a subdivision which will wipe out the biocore habitat, which is critical habitat. But I think maybe I would like to see the commission pay more attention to habitat values and wildlife issues when we do DRIs. Every time we do a subdivision, we're fragmenting the habitat, and we're not going to have to worry about the effects of turbines on bats and birds soon, because there won't be any habitat for them to come here for reproduction. And we are destroying habitat faster than we're doing anything else on Cape Cod, and putting in roads and destroying wildlife corridors, and we need to really think about that with our other DRIs. And
Need a motion? Do you have a motion?
just think about the other side of the package on this. If this doesn't go in, that there will be a subdivision. We just have to start weighing.
Do you need
all
do
these
you have a
issues.
motion, please?
No, it's
Thank you.
not. It's a comment. and
All
I'm
right,
done.
thank you. Are we finished with the review?
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Did we delete your contribution to renewable energy?
Dilute efforts to pursue alternative sources of renewable energy? Yes, it is deleted.
You're on the benefit side, they're on the,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just, removed it from both sides?
It's been removed as a detriment.
No, I was concerned about the probable benefits. On the first one, it points out that it helps them meet the state mandate, et cetera, et cetera. And then,
That still stands.
and then the third one from the bottom says a contribution to renewable energy.
That's been removed.
And I just simply ask you to consider the fact that you probably should have combined that, the one that's been removed with the first one.
It's already been adjudicated, John.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you can't do it, you can't do it. You answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chairman, asked to be recognized for the applicant.
In a minute, when we're finished with this. Anything else with probable detriments, probable benefits? Seeing none, then we will begin the process of weighing whether the probable benefits outweigh the detriments outweigh the probable benefits. Other way around? Okay, probable benefits outweigh the probable detriments. Thank you. So we'll give you a minute for deliberation. Is there discussion? Mr. Blanton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the probable detriments list, about halfway down lists, the proximity to the nearby school has a probable detriment of the project. Could I have someone on either staff or council clarify to me the state regulations? I believe that wind turbine is actually, that's closest to the elementary school, is inside of the state regulations and could present a potential issue there?
It's not in the record.
No, that is something in the record.
It is in the record?
About what's in the record.
Do we have testimony in the record with regard to concerns with regard to the proximity of that particular wind turbine to the elementary school? I believe we had. I'm particularly concerned about not only noise effects that might intrude upon children at play, but also ice throw. I don't have school children there, Mr. Chairman, but I do know friends in Bourne who do.
I know we've recently received quite a list of potential as well as existing parents of children there that express concern. Further discussions about probable benefits and detriments. Joy.
Are we now evaluating which is stronger, the benefits to the, we're not going through that list anymore? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes, please, Austin.
what makes it challenging here for me is when I look at probable benefits, I see facts, I see numbers that were given of things that could happen. Under some of the probable detriments, I see probability, not a fact. It's something that's a possibility. And that's what makes it difficult to make a decision which one is stronger for me, because if I were to do it on a fact or a maybe, then I'd be more in line to say the probable benefits outweigh the probable detriments. But that is, one is a maybe, and some of it's based on emotions, and the other side, a lot of it's based on facts. And that's the difficulty that I'm having with some of this. And I'm not saying that some of the detriments aren't factual, don't get me wrong, but when I'm looking at the entire list on both sides and weighing it, in my opinion, at times, the probable benefits do outweigh that. Is there a way, and it probably isn't, this is probably the easy way out to try to find a softer way of doing this. I guess I'm going to have to listen to some of the other commissioners, but at this point, because some of it to me is a question mark and possibility on one side, while the other side is actually fact, I lean toward probable benefits, and I want to hear from other commissioners how they're feeling on putting this together.
It is difficult. Welcome to the battlefield.
Yes.
Michael?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To Mr. Knight's observation, I think you're absolutely, I'm not going to say you're absolutely right, but you're right in part. Let me clarify from my viewpoint. Probable benefits, 1, 2, 3, fourth item down, green energy rebate program. That is a fact. It is being offered on out. You're right. That is a factual proposition. We've also heard testimony in several public hearings from most of the impacted residents, all of whom would be may contribute to or be involved in that green energy rebate program. Every single one of them categorically told us as a subcommittee that that would not be a benefit to them. We have listed it as a benefit here out of deference, I think, to the applicant because they have forwarded that forward. But we have not heard any positive testimony, to my recollection, that the residents, the impacted residents, consider that green energy rebate program to be a benefit to them. So just the fact that it is a factual program, it's a factual offering, it does exist. But we need to debate here, based upon the testimony we've heard, as far as I see, whether or not it's a real benefit or if it's a benefit that outweighs the detriment on the other side. The same thing can be said about many of these benefits here with regard to economic stimulator. That one, is that actual or is it not? That's something for us to discuss right now. It's listed as a benefit. We as a subcommittee found it as a benefit, but I understand what you're saying, that some of the detriments that are listed on the other side seem to be suppositions, but I would question whether or not the actual benefits listed on the left-hand side are factual factual factors. Thank you.
I would say that having been chair of the subcommittee and having sat through all the public testimony as well as the subcommittee deliberations, and when we came to this part of the process, there were, it was the only time in the process we were looking at this where we might be able to discuss health effects. Possible health effects of this wind turbine project, this industrial scale wind turbine project. And there's great weight given to that. And I think, from my viewpoint, what I heard and what I was cautious to, although, you can find somebody to agree with you no matter what your position. However, I would always err on the side of human health and human well-being, especially if we, at least for me, it was good that we had a time to air that out, because it was aired out very fully by public comment and public hearing. People concerned about this health effects, the effect on community morale. This is a subjective thing. Can you quantify it? Well, if I took all the lists of all the people who showed up for all the public hearings, I could quantify that, because overwhelmingly the people that showed up outnumbered the applicant's team. Now, it doesn't mean that they were right particularly, or the applicant, but I'm just saying, what I see in this project, the statement I made about the project, and excuse me for a minute. I got to reel myself in. in any event, let me just say that we had a time to air that out, and it was very important to us to have that time. So that is how we approached it on the subcommittee, and it was arduous. And like Austin said, we are not in easy positions about this project. If this were an easy project, we wouldn't be sitting here after, I don't know, 2 years of work. So that's my comment.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. McCormick.
Under probable benefits, tax benefits to the municipality, figures have been quoted $120,000 a year for 25 years, but I think there's some evidence in the record that says, depending on how the project is classified, if it's classified as something commercial and the turbines would be subject to depreciation over a number of years, and I don't think the tax benefits to the municipality would be $120,000 for the next 25 years.
Joy.
I know I read it, I can't remember where, but tax benefits to the municipality, the Bourne town assessor was asked what the tax benefits would be to the town of Bourne. Did she agree with the $100,000, $120,000 a year? She could not. We know that there's a contribution to the grid. There is not a contribution directly to a municipal power plant to benefit the town of Bourne. Economic stimulator, somewhere, I think it might have been in the wind energy development in Oregon or someplace around. The first year there is a benefit as far as hiring for jobs. That goes away once the turbines are built. There are 2 parking spaces for 2 people to go in and maintain these turbines. We got the wind health impact study from the DEP and the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. I guess I read it with a different eye. I thought, whoopee, this is going to be really good for the proponents of wind. And the more I read, I'm thinking, this isn't so great. Because they say that there are probable detriments, which we have on our right side of our sheet, and that best practices have to be made in order to make sure that those detriments don't become positives. Same thing with the strategic health impact assessment on the wind energy development in Oregon. More study needs to be done. I have grandchildren. One, and this is not in the record, but it was in the record about the school not having windows and that lessening the impact of the noise from these turbines. The kids go outside to play. And we talked about ice throw, which could be a diminishment of property value maybe. The school is, I think, 900 feet from one of the turbines. The ice throw should be 3 times the size of the blades. So I think that even though they're probable detriments, they far outweigh the probable benefits. If turbines are not built, solar is becoming more popular. So I think the detriments are far stronger than the benefits.
Mr. Short.
To Mr. McCormick's point about the valuation, in some of the material that was in this roughly 2,000 pages that we had to plow through for this, there was a statement that 12 to 15 years had been the life expectancy of some of these units that were out there, that they did not necessarily agree with the 20 or 25-year life.
Yeah, Joy.
I forgot something. The green energy rebate program, I think it was broken down to $25 a household per month, which is, maybe you just don't go out to Wendy's or something quite so often, but that's not a really big saving to have probable detriments like that on the other side.
Mr. Blanton.
To be fair to the applicant, just to clarify on that green energy rebate program, there was I think 3 concentric circles, and the closer you were to the turbines, there was actually a benefit that was a little bit greater than that, and it diminished the further on out you got. But again, we did not hear one person give testimony to the fact that they thought that that was an overwhelming benefit that would cause them to be in favor of the project being so close to their homes.
Yes, Mr. Richardson.
When we're talking about reports on health impact and that sort of business, I think it's helpful to know just what product we're talking. Are you raising your hand to me? No. You can't hear me? Ooh.
Cozy up to the microphone,
I'm
right?
sorry. The thing is that when we start talking about health problems related to this particular issue, I just wonder whether the health impact of the turbines that are being recommended for this spot would be the same as the health problems that have been reported in other areas. And it seems, taking a look at these, they seem a lot larger than the ones that, we have that are in other spots that I'm familiar with anyway. And I'm not sure we can take, just any of these reports, either by individuals or scientists, if they refer to one particular product. And I find that, I'm concerned about people's health, and I certainly would not want something that's going to impact the health. I think the testimony we've had on schools has presented, been two-sided. I'm not sure whether I would like to, go to school myself next to a turbine. It might be distracting and it might not. And the whole property tax business, and this is anecdotal, and if I need to be wheeled in, please do that. In terms of probable, anyway, I think that's we don't really know how to determine probable. I think that's sort of probable. Anyway.
It's difficult. Mary Pat.
I do have a wonderful illustration I'll tell you afterwards.
Thank you. Mary Pat.
Well, I think it really is a difficult decision here, because in our 2,000 pages, we have evidence of some very successful wind projects in the state of Massachusetts and elsewhere. We also have evidence of some that have not been successful, and that and health effects have ensued for a variety of reasons related to people's ability or problem in being near turbines. And I think we have here some very strong, factual, probable benefits. And then down in the other column, we have probable detriments that are possibilities. They could actually happen. This could be a very successful project. We don't know that. We can only look at what we know, what we believe the benefits could be, and we share the concerns about the possible benefits. So it could be a very successful project, and it could not be. I mean, maybe it could have some of the same negative effects that pardon me, other wind projects have had. So it comes down to, how do you decide?
Thank you. Mr. Blanton.
I think Commissioner Flynn raises an excellent question, because really, when I look down the list of the benefits, and I think many of us came to this project initially looking at those benefits and giving them a fairly beneficial look, but unfortunately, as we dove into the details, we started to stir up some of the concerns with regard to health effects, environmental effects, water quality effects, property values, tourism impacts, what they might be. Again, none of them definitive. We don't know. We don't know for sure. Our chairman pointed to the idea that if we were going to err on one side or the other, maybe it's best to err on the side of caution with regard to people's health. And I would probably concur with you with regard to that. I look at all of these benefits that come down here, and it really comes down to they do look like benefits, and in some cases maybe they are. Contribution to the grid, speculative. Will it be a contribution? Yes. Will it be significant? Will it be impactful? That's for us to really look at and determine. The permanent protection of 20 acres of open space, I think, is quite significant. But then again, you look through all of these benefits, and ultimately what it comes down to for me is, do we want these benefits? And if we do, at what cost? And that's when I look towards the list of detriments. And I'm having a very hard time finding that the benefits would outweigh these detriments should they come to pass.
Elizabeth.
I know Jessica's probably going to smack me upside the head for this, but I'm just curious, in all of the discussions, did anyone ever say, because we say this to every commercial applicant in front of us, have they considered doing solar instead of wind? I mean, can the project be withdrawn and come back as wind? It would leave you all the benefits and remove most of the detriments. And we keep pushing alternative energy at the commission, and the state is pushing it, but we're really pushing it. We have all these bylaws we have on the books now. And if this is such a problem, why not switch to a different alternative energy? This is probably totally out of place for this discussion because it's not in front of us, but I just wondered if we ever discussed it, or the subcommittee ever did.
Elizabeth, you are correct in that that's
totally
not
out of line,
that's
right?
not the issue before you today.
Okay.
Well, I
Mary
just
Pat.
wanted to point out one other factor that I found in in all this pile of papers here, was the protocol that the applicant has provided for any issues that might arise related to the turbines if they were built. Issues related to health, issues related to noise, issues related to many things. There was, I think, a 3-page protocol that anyone could follow if, in fact, they had some negative impact from the turbines. I thought it was very well done. I'm not sure a lot of turbine projects had something like that. I've never seen one like that before, as complete and thorough as that protocol is. And I thought that clearly, I would see, it's not listed here, but I would see that as a real benefit to the project, to be able to have, for anyone who is impacted by the project, to have recourse.
Thank you. At this time, I move that the probable benefits of the proposed development are not greater than the probable detriments. Moved and seconded. Further discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I want to just reemphasize what the representative said just from the commission, that there is a form that was given to us that showed if there was problems, what the remedy to that would be. So we do have that before us as part of this, and I just want to make sure that the mitigation plan, we have that. So in the benefits over detriments, I think because we have that plan, for me, the benefits because of that are stronger than the detriments. So I just wanted to go on record. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Blanton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To that point, we also do have the testimony of the Bourne Fire Department chief testifying that if there were some sort of a fire-related event in one of the turbines, the town of Bourne and nobody in the surrounding area has the equipment to reach that height. So although the protocol is very impressive, there are some gaps, there are some holes in that plan that concern the residents of Bourne.
Mr. Richardson.
On that particular point, we've had discussion previously, and I think in regards to this project too, that as part of the development of the project, there would be, the material there that one would need in order to combat any kind of an emergency. And I can't quote it chapter and verse, but we've talked about it on more than one occasion, and I think in this occasion too. That would be the applicant's responsibility to make sure that kind of thing was provided for.
Thank you. Joy.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The mitigation form that was submitted by the applicant was very good. When I read it, my concern was, what does mitigate mean? If you have 4 turbines up and you start having health problems or noise problems, how do you mitigate that?
Well, they suggested turning them off.
I would remind the commission members that we have a motion on the floor and we have discussion, and that particular item that we have been discussing there briefly is not in part of the benefits and detriments analysis, so.
Did they close the?
We have a motion, and the motion was that the probable benefits and proposed development are not greater than the probable detriments. Had discussion, we are in discussion.
Mr. Chairman, just a point of clarification.
Yes.
Did we close the probable benefits and detriments totally through our discussion? Is this the only thing? Because now you're saying because we didn't have that other part in here, we can't talk about it. But did we formally close the benefits and detriments before we're going into which one's better?
Yeah. It was asked several times, and nothing was brought up about it.
Well,
I can withdraw my motion, and we can start that discussion again if it is the desire of the
Well, Mr.
Commission.
Chairman, I hate to be the one to make the meeting go on much longer, but I do feel that this document of the complaint protocol and mitigation plan should be one of the benefits.
Okay, let me formally withdraw my motion. Michael, will you withdraw your second? Oh, you were, Joy?
It was the second.
Okay. So, what is you going to make a motion, Austin?
The probable benefit is the new generation complaint protocol and mitigation plan. I don't know how we would word that. Whoops, I'm sorry. Keep shutting it off. There is a document here about the complaint procedure and mitigation plan that is a benefit. So I'm going to go to town council, or not town council, commission council, excuse me, the best way to make a motion to have that as a possible benefit, if it's possible.
I believe that the chair has withdrawn his motion about the weighing. So if you are back to considering probable benefits and probable detriments, I believe you have just moved to consider
Okay, that's what I just want to make sure that was...
mitigation and protocol plan as a benefit of the project. So if you have a second, you could discuss that.
Moved and seconded. Discussion regarding that motion. Seeing none, all those in favor of adding that motion, that benefit of the mitigation plan to the probable benefits side of the ledger, please raise your hand. Those opposed, raise your hand. How many?
Six. How many is it?
It's a tie.
Tie, it fails.
It fails. Back to my motion. I move that the probable benefits of the proposed development are not greater than the probable detriments. Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 6? Those opposed?
Wait, start over.
Hold on. It's been requested that I restate the motion that the probable benefits of the proposed development are not greater than the probable detriments. That is the motion, has been seconded, we've had discussion, we're in a vote. The vote for that motion, please raise your hand. Those against, raise your hand. Motion fails. So, hold on just a minute, Austin. Short recess, about 10 minutes. Jessica? Welcome back. It's incumbent upon us to reach a decision regarding this. So I would move to reconsider the benefits and detriments. Is that correct? Reconsider the motion. Hold on just a minute. Okay, I would move to reconsider my motion. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor say aye, or raise your hand. Raise your hand. Reconsider, yes, thank you. Any opposed? So moved. Same number of people. Thank you. Thank you for recount. So we're fine. We're good.
9 voted for reconsideration?
Through the chair, just.
It carries. Thank you. I'm sorry. We just had a reconsideration of my motion, and it prevailed.
And there were no negatives and no abstentions, but there's 12 of us here. If somebody disputes that vote,
All those in favor of the reconsideration, raise your hand. Looks unanimous. 12. Thank you very much. Okay. I move that the probable benefits of the proposed development are not greater than the probable detriments. Moved and seconded. Discussion. Yes, Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The fact that we voted this motion before and arrived at a deadlock position, I think, underscore the difficulty of this particular project and the proposal before us. But again, I think I'm moved by your comments, Mr. Chairman, earlier, that being on the cusp and having to weigh one side against the other, I still feel that it's incumbent upon me and other members, I hope that you will consider that if we're going to err on one side or the other, we err on the side of caution with regard to the health and well-being and welfare of the local impacted residents. That's why I would encourage you to vote for Mr. Chairman's motion.
Joy.
I'd also like to say that this was denied without prejudice, which means that it can come back to us, that we are not telling the applicant, you can never do this again. What we're saying is, maybe we have questions, maybe we need to work with you a little more, maybe we just need a little bit of time, and we'll come to a different decision. And I think that that's very important to know. It was denied without prejudice, it was not outright denied. And we have done this on all of our projects so that we can work with the applicant for the best of the project and the people involved.
Peter?
Elizabeth.
I guess I'm struggling with the same issues because I am a rabid proponent of alternative energy, be it wind or solar, and it's sort of hard to separate this vote on a specific project from being very supportive of alternative energies. And if I thought that this might come back again and qualify under the newborn bylaw, and maybe with shorter turbines and solar as a part of the mix and get our okay, I'd probably feel better about this. I'm very much on the fence. And maybe I'll change my mind in the next few minutes, so we'll get a vote. I don't know.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, hold on. Look, Austin.
Mr. Chairman, just a point of clarification to you. We have not voted yet on denying this without prejudice. I just want to make that clear. That yet has to come. That motion has not come yet. So out of respect to a fellow commissioner that made a statement, we have not done that part yet. All we're doing now is the probable benefits and detriments. I just want to be clear. Thank you.
That's correct. That's correct.
Thank you. Joy.
I think that's just a step in the process. And I guess I'm an optimist more than a pessimist. And the applicant has worked with the staff and the commission already to reduce the size of the project and to relocate some of the turbines. And I'm hoping that if this doesn't pass tonight, that it is declined without prejudice, that there'll be more working with the staff and the commission in the future.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. McCormick.
I don't really like to make light of this subject, but it's a really heavy subject, and my learned colleague from Dennis weighed it. It's 35 pounds worth of evidence.
Thank you for the levity. What I would say is I am moved by my responsibilities as a representative from Truro, as well as for representing our region. And I believe in regional solutions to regional problems, and I also believe that when there is a default that, yes, I'm doing the effects on project on community morale. What I'm talking about is respecting what I've seen from, and my understanding of the record, that the community has weighed in on this project. And for me to vote against it, in my mind, would be flying in the face of the citizens of Bourne. And so I'm very serious about that particular aspect, you know, that through public hearing, through letters, through Board of Selectmen meetings, through, you know, other boards of the town of Bourne, this thing has been asked to be reconsidered. So that's my view. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Neswicki.
Just as a point of clarification for where you are now, you have a motion on the floor that pertains to the benefits and detriments analysis. We need an affirmative vote. Whether the probable benefits of the proposed development are greater than or are not greater than the probable detriments. The situation that we have now is 6-6 tie is a deadlock. That is a no vote. And if 2 no votes would mean that we wouldn't get an affirmative vote and we would not be able to move forward. So that's the reason for reconsideration at this point. You know, it seems like a bit of a technicality, but we need an affirmative vote one way or the other. There are serious consequences to not being able to come to a decision.
Yes, Mary Pat.
I guess my question is related to what was just said previously before Paul, is at what point do we get to the point of the applicant being able to come back and being able to, in other words, when does the without prejudice kick in? At what point does that happen? With a positive vote, or just is it based on the applicant's own desire as to whether or not he wanted to pursue?
Without prejudice speaks to the ability to refile the application. It's immediate, and they're available to refile at any time.
Is that inherent in this motion? Without being said, we're only voting on the
right
benefits and the detriments.
You're only voting on the benefits and the detriments.
And then we come with another vote on the project itself.
Another vote on the draft decision itself.
Thanks.
The motion before is that the probable benefits of the proposed development are not greater than the probable detriments. It has been seconded and discussed. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Those opposed, raise your hand. Abstentions, raise your hand. So moved. I move to deny without prejudice the development of regional impact application for new generation wind. Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Recount, please. All those opposed, raise your hand. Abstentions, raise your hand. So moved. I move to adopt the subcommittee's draft decision as amended today denying the DRI application of New Generation Wind.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed, raise your hand. Abstentions, raise your hand. So moved. Is there any other business before the commission? I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.